Ladies and gentlemen, making his way to the mic, hailing from just outside Philadelphia, the can't miss speculist, Big Paws on a Pup, J.P.Q.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of No Particular Angle. I'm your host, Big Paws on a Pup, JPQ, and it is tournament season. Now, you wouldn't know that because there's not a lot it seems like there's going on right now, but we're getting back into the swing of things, especially over in Japan. We're getting back to the swing of things, and we started off here with the Cinderella Tournament 2020. I got to tell you, one thing, it's nice to have Stardom back. It's just nice to know they're doing some things. We're going to jump into it. I got JD from the RedLeaf Retro cast here with me to break it all down. JD, how you doing, man?
Oh, good. I'm so glad we're doing this double take here.
That's right.
I love it.
That's right. We're doing the double take. Well, I mean, that's the thing. We're jumping into this. Cinderella Tournament's one of the marquee matches, marquee tournaments, marquee events every year in Stardom. It's one that we look forward to because it, one, kind of helps to solidify, the first 33% of the year, right? The first third of the year or so kind of lets us know where we were, where we're going, what we should be looking out for. And then at the same time, it gives us an opportunity here to kind of piece some things together with regards to, different faction storylines and how new members are melding together and things like that. Overall impressions right off the bat. JD, Cinderella Tournament 2020 live streamed on YouTube for the first round. Picked up same day live stream on stardom-world.com for the second round semis and final. Overall impressions.
Dude, I wasn't able to catch it live, but it was a slow day at work, so I got to watch the entire first round there and kick it up when I got home to watch round two semifinals and finals. Overall, I thought it was a slam dunk of a show. I thought it was one of the stronger Cinderella tournaments I have seen as a whole. Now, booking-wise, we'll get into that.
Right, and we're going to break it down. I'm not a big recapper, but I think for a one-day tournament with 16 entrants, I think we can get through this in one recording here. I do want to kind of theme out. I like theming out these Cinderella tournaments. I pick a quote from the movie Cinderella, my friend JD, and I find one that's relevant to the overarching theme of this year. And for me, it's Cinderella herself saying, "Well, serves you right for spoiling some people's best dreams." Do you think that fits?
I think for a lot of fans of certain wrestlers, absolutely.
I would agree with you. And that seems to be most of the backlash that we're seeing coming out of this tournament is because certain fans of a wrestler that might kind of rhyme with the word fan didn't get to see her progress much farther into the tournament than you would expect. So let's just jump into it here. First and foremost, are you a fan of the fact that they're live streaming first round on YouTube for free? Do you think that adds intrigue, or does it is it something that isn't really necessary?
You know what? I am a fan of this. I think it's a good move. It's a great move for expanding the product and the promotion. What better way to get people to want to subscribe to your service than playing out the entire first round? And hey, if I was a new fan or just someone interested and I wanted to see where everything goes, then I would sign up. In fact, I hope next year, I'm going to call it, WXW does the entire first day of the 16 karat gold tournament streaming live on their YouTube channel. And then, hey, by the way, nights 2 and 3, the bigger nights are on our streaming service.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. I think this was a good move by Stardom. I really enjoyed it. You know what it was? It brought community to Stardom, which we very rarely get. Now, I know you weren't up in the morning for it, but I did. I woke up at 5:30.
No, I'm still one of the very few that has to go to work.
So do I.
Still.
But I don't have to start this time of year until 7:38, so I was able to kind of sneak it in, knowing it was just the first round. But yeah, it was one of those things where I thought, for the people that stayed up in the UK, for the people that were over in Japan, and then for the people that woke up at 5:30 on the East Coast side, it was fun to kind of live. It was like watching New Japan. it was fun to kind of just be able to, and it was just Stardom. We never get that, and so we getting a little interest from some new fans, getting some some more regulars on the timeline, shucking and jiving to what's happening on YouTube. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a good way of waking up in the morning. I'll tell you that much. And nothing starts your day like a live stream of Stardom. I'll give them that.
It was really cool. It warmed my heart when they announced the first night was going to be, or at least the first round, was going to be live streamed on YouTube, and my timeline on Twitter, was just filled with pro Stardom comments. People are going to watch it, and I was like, man, I have never seen this much action on the Twitter covering just any sort of women's wrestling at all, other than, say, something happened in WWE, but that goes without saying.
Sure.
And then I tried so hard. I muted words, JPQ. I muted wrestlers. I muted the Stardom accounts. I could not avoid the spoilers. It was in my face immediately, and I just went, great. I guess I'll comment with hiding spoilers myself for people that were fans of me, and then people were commenting with the spoilers. There was just no avoiding this year, but nonetheless, I still was very excited to watch all these matches and see everything unfold like a storybook, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, didn't expect that finish kind of deal throughout the shows here. They're the show.
I would tell you, I mean, the spoilers were hard to kind of keep under wraps. They always kind of are. But to your point, yeah, there's been a lot of chatter on Stardom. And maybe it's just the algorithms finally getting its mind right around my timeline. But
maybe.
I'll tell you, the more people watching Stardom, the merrier, in my opinion. So if you haven't yet, make sure that you check out the first round on YouTube, Stardom Official YouTube, for the first round of the Cinderella Tournament here. And then if you're so inclined, stardom-world.com for as little as less than $8 a month. You too can enjoy all the spoils and riches that is #WatchStardom. So
I agree. Speaking of loving, I am loving this Toki Suntory whiskey I'm drinking right now.
There you go.
Oh,
nice.
In celebration of the new Cinderella.
And yeah, hey, I mean, mazel tov, bro.
I'm not saying my Joshi War has invaded Stardom officially with the new winner, but it feels pretty good here.
I will tell you, I mean, you got me into the winner. You're the one that called the winner. You said she was going to be a star, and here we are, almost a calendar year later since you and I you made me watch that match in Ice Ribbon, and we got a little. But let's not spoil anything just yet. Let's jump into the matches here.
It's a big hint.
Yeah, right. First match on the card outside of the pre-match, which was a nice little Hina Rina and Hoshino, along with Natsu Samir making her way in. Nice little back and forth between these four. Nothing too crazy here. I'm just going to move right past it. We get things started here with Momo Watanabe versus Starlight Kid in the opener, in what I will tell you was a fun, fresh opener. I didn't know how they were going to start this. I mean, obviously we knew the lineup. I didn't know where Momo is. I got to be honest with you, JD. I'm becoming more and more of a Momo fan as the days go by, because every single time she's out there, she's becoming a little bit more of an underdog. I think this was a good showing for her. Although it was short, I think this was a good showing for her. Her versus Starlight Kid, obviously you're going to get a gamer on the other side. Momo picks up the W with the B driver. What do you expect out of Momo this year? What did you expect out of this match, this tournament for her, as things transpired?
Well, as I watched the show, I actually ranked my top 5 matches of the tournament. Mm-hmm. And this came in at number 2 for me.
Wow.
Okay. Starlight Kid, a little... What do you call it on your podcast? No particular angle. The gear talk, the costume watching,
the wrestling fashion. #wrestling
wrestling fashion. You say. Mm-hmm. Well, Starlight Kid's busting out now that she's graduated high school officially. She's busting out the new gear, and it looks quite good. It gives her a little bit of an older look while sticking with character. Big fan.
Right.
That being said, Momo coming out with a little bit more fire, getting a little high speed in her, so we might be looking at Momo versus Riho down the line for that ever so valiant title that's always shown in Stardom. But that's what I see in the near future, based on what I saw out of this match. I think Momo proved in the match against Starlight Kid, that she's ready, I think, to take the next step for the high-speed title, and I could see her easily taking it off Riho after this. I thought when did they start calling it the B driver? Was it always
I'm
that?
not sure. Yeah, I think it was. I think it has been.
I thought it was the Peach driver and then the Peach Sunrise.
You still have the Peach Sunrise, which is obviously her suplex, combo suplex finisher. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, the B driver seems like it's always been called that. Maybe it was called the Peach driver at some point.
Maybe it's just like finally hit me. I'm like, oh, because of the commentary. Obviously,
right.
There was live commentary for the show.
Let's sideswipe for a second here. Jushin Thunder Liger and the other guy.
The other guy.
Do you know who the other guy is?
I don't.
JD? Yeah, me neither. But
I didn't catch names.
As somebody who, again, isn't accustomed to watching Stardom on Japanese television or catching that feed, to be able to have commentary, it's a lot of fun. It's just a new wrinkle from the way that I've been watching it, to be able to watch a live stream show and then add to it Jushin Thunder Liger's commentary. Boy, it's a different experience, right? It's a more engaging experience. Would you agree?
You can hear Liger throughout the show just very excited to see just this different sort of wrestling he's used to. Mm-hmm. You can definitely tell.
And competent wrestling, too.
Yes.
So he gets excited for when people do things well, when people execute well, and you could hear that through this entire tournament with a bevy of performers. So across the board here, good showings from everybody. Yeah, Momo, SLK. Momo gets the win with the B driver. Yeah. This moves us into our second match.
Well,
Julia versus...
I do want to say I love the finish. That's what put that match against Starlight Kid over. Mm-hmm. With it's the mixture of sprint. They never slowed down. It was a reversal fest, and then finally Momo pulling out a Maya Yukihi here and just kicking Starlight Kid's head off, leading to the finish. I was like, bam! Oh, that was beautiful. Loved it. That's what did it for me. But yes,
I would agree. Momo's kicks are coming along. I'm going to save that for her second round matchup before I comment on it. But yes, I would agree with you as well. It seems like she's starting to get back into form, so to speak, with her kicks, with her kick arsenal. Real quick, let's sidestep one more time. We're rushing it because we're excited. For those of you out there that either this was your first Cinderella Tournament or you're listening to no particular angle, thank you. And you don't know what the Cinderella Tournament is. One, it's a 16 wrestler one-day event in which there's a 10-minute time limit for each of the matches, as well as you can win via pinfall, submission, or being thrown over the top rope. Now, that's important because it brings a level of compromise to the two wrestlers that are in the ring. So you see upsets, you see time limit draws, which lead to eliminations. You see double eliminations over the top rope, which then lead to nobody advancing. These are all different wrinkles within this one tournament, and it's important to know that as we kind of move forward here. It's a different type of tournament, but it's not so different that you can't focus. And what's really exciting about it is when you have somebody who's big versus somebody small, and they get the upper hand to be able to get the leverage to get them over. It adds a bit of intensity to the match that you otherwise wouldn't get, and that's what makes these tournaments so much fun. Knowing that there's a 10-minute time limit, you know that the pressure's on the later into the match they get to either finish or be threatened to get knocked out. So there's these little wrinkles. If you haven't yet, get over to YouTube. At least check out the first round. It's a fun little tournament to watch. Only about an hour and 10 minutes of your time. Second match, Julia versus Jungle. Marquee matchup in the first round. One that people are looking excited to. We know that Donna Del Mondo is just doing crazy things right now. It seems like nobody can beat him outside of Jungle, who took out Mika not too long ago. Julia versus Jungle. Jungle's not getting her just due. Is that fair? Like, are we at the point where we just got to accept Jungle to be the perennial loser? Or is this a Naito treatment where eventually it'll get around to where she's kicked in the mud so much that she hardens up and works her way up the mountain? Again, it's tough to say. JD, thoughts on this match? Thoughts on Jungle overall?
This match sucked. I was pissed watching this because I even went through it. I'm like, man, Kiona's going to lose here, but maybe they'll get some time, get a great match out of Julia, put her over strong. I fully expected it. Then as the tournament went on, I'm like, why the fuck is this in the first round?
Right.
Why? I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, this was bad. Kiona goes over in the Kagetsu last Stardom match. Bummed out she didn't get her annual loss in Nagoya for her big title match, so that's scrapped. And it seems like the Kiona opportunity is just absolutely scrapped. So I wouldn't even say this is a Naito situation. This is like a Goto, where you're just the good worker that's gonna lose, and people are gonna slowly stop caring about you because you're just the good worker, right?
Yeah,
so
you're not wrong.
Seeing just mat work, and then just a simple reversal of the, as they're calling, the Jungle Buster instead of the Kaniku Buster. On commentary, just a simple reversal, Yakuza kick, and then Julia just makes her pass out with the what is it, the Viper submission or whatever they're calling it.
That is oh boy, oh jeez, what is her stupid suplex thing called? Or not suplex? What's that called?
It's not the burning driver. That's what I know it from.
No,
Icewomen, but
it's not the Viper driver.
It's
something like that.
It's like it's an STF with a cravat.
Right.
That's what it is. And then she'll change up the cravat to go the other direction.
Viper. Stealth Viper.
Stealth Viper, yes.
That's what they call it.
So she changes up the cravat like halfway through, and then flips you into a cravat bow and arrow. It's a cool looking submission, but it's way too slow. I'm not a fan. They definitely put it over in this tournament strong, which was the right decision if you're going to get over a submission. The problem is there's not a lot of struggle her getting it on, and when I saw Kiona just kind of one kick and then she's in this very long thing, it just didn't come across as well. The match was just 5 minutes. It wasn't long. They went for their finishers, and then that was it. It was put that in with the mat work at the beginning. It was set up to be, I thought, like a 9.5 minute match, and shit, if you tell me it was 9.5 minutes, I wouldn't know, because it just felt like it went by in a flash, and it sucked. I thought it was the worst match of the tournament.
I thought it was one of the lesser ones, and to your point, I think it was all fluff, no substance, right? To your point. When she did finally lock in the Stealth Viper, I get what they might have been trying to go for, which is to show that intensity, that viciousness that we've come to be accustomed, the Hana-esque kind of feel that Julia kind of brings. But at the same time, how many times do I have to feel bad for Jungle, number one?
Here's the thing. So now that we know Jungle's out in round one, you know what? I will save this thought.
Okay.
Until we get later down.
Yeah.
I will hopefully remember, because this was a key match that really left me with a huge sour taste in my mouth as the show went on.
I think I know where you're headed with it, but we'll save it till we get there. Number one, you feel bad for Jungle. Number two, it was a lot of selling by Jungle until she finally sunk in the Stealth Viper officially. Yeah. And then eventually passed out. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. To your point, it kind of came off a little flat. You expected more out of these two. Even in 10 minutes, they could have done a lot. You can do a lot in 10 minutes, and they just didn't seem to hit the mark. Although, the story that they're trying to tell with Julia, overcoming somebody like Jungle's a fierce competitor. She's going to keep the fight, which is why the Stealth Viper took so long to knock her out. I get all that. I get the story. But the match itself, bit of a clunker. In my opinion, which is okay, because it was followed up immediately with Azumi versus Konami, which had all the potential in the world of stealing the show, except, JD, what happened?
Oh my god. I swear, Azumi's gonna break a kneecap. It's gonna happen. She's gonna do this double foot stomp and just crash down on one of her knees just too hard one day, and it's going to shatter in half. And the more I get frustrated and just scared for her, when it finally happens, I'm just going, yeah, I saw it coming this whole time. You deserve to get hurt at this point, because you're a fool. You're a fool, Azumi. That being said, she's still a really good wrestler. I love watching her, but fuck. She did a double foot stomp on Konami, and upon landing, you just hear her knee go whack into the mat. And I'm like, oh my god, you're gonna make Naito's knees look nice. You keep doing that. Like when she turns 23, 24, a few years from now,
Right.
won't even be the same wrestler because of her knees.
Yeah, which is a shame because she's a technical wrestler, and we expected a technical wrestling match out of these two, albeit entertaining, very short. Right, it was a teaser in my opinion, and you get these from time to time. You get short matches in these ones. Obviously, Konami picks up the W with the Triangle Lancer. This match I think went 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. I think is what I clocked at this morning. And again, just a palate cleanser for me, not in the sense of like it filler in the show, but more of like things to come. Right, I look at these two. I enjoy when they mix it up. We saw that last year, I believe in the 5-star. But it is one of those things where, I had a lot of excitement, I had a lot of energy, a good back and forth between these two, and it just never really kind of took off because Konami and her infinite wisdom was able to lock in that Triangle Lancer, which, as we know, is 100%, and taps out Azumi relatively quickly. This moves us to Jamie Hayter coming out versus Shiori, which I can't say her name. Would you like to pronounce it? Shiori, right.
Yeah.
Shiori finds herself in a position against Jamie Hayter. I want to get your thoughts on this. In my opinion, now, she has the world on a coaster. She can go to AEW. She's a mainstay in the European scene. She's doing great things over in the Japanese scene. She's a 5-tool player. She's got power. She's got size. She's got comedy. There's a lot that she brings to the party. She really has the opportunity to be the next, in my opinion, Joshi Giant. She could be the next Aja Kong. She could have that type of legacy.
I was comparing her to Bull Nakano.
Okay. Yeah, that's another great one. Sure.
Aja Kong to me never had the charisma. She had the force and aura, while Bull Nakano pulled off the look, the unique look.
Yeah.
To go with her crazy size, and she had the charisma that developed, and that's what I see out of Jamie Hayter. She's bigger, she's stronger, she's cocky. She also wrestles in the States, in the West, much like Bull Nakano did,
sure,
and can show it off. The difference, of course, is Bull Nakano's Japanese, and Hayter is British.
Right.
So that actually gives Hayter, I think, a little advantage in the West, because she speaks this language called English. Perhaps you've heard of it.
Yeah, once in a while.
Yeah, no, this was number 4 on my top 5 of matches.
Yeah, I thought
of the
this
tournament.
was strong. Good back and forth between the two. Shiori picks up a submission, armbar submission victory over Jamie Hayter. But I think as far as like what Donna Del Mondo is going to be moving forward, to see, the type of output in the first round that we saw from Julia, that we saw from Shiori, that we will see coming up from Meika here. There's just this was kind of a theme that we're going to see some dominance, and it was nice to see Shiori getting that. She was getting that rub early and against Jamie Hayter. I thought it was a good back and forth. Really, really strong performance from her.
This match has the seasoning to be makings of a real nice rivalry, because we've seen Hayter and Utami go at it.
Right.
I see Shiori and Jamie Hayter continuing this down the road. This was
Sure.
not an accident that this power MMA dynamic these two are going to have just flowed really well. Shuri's got a little bit more size than a lot of the others, so she can match up well with Hayter.
Yep.
This dynamic really worked. I loved it, and Shuri is just absolute fire, and I'm saying it. She was my MVP of the tournament.
I would actually agree with you. And I'll wait a couple, I'll wait till we get to a little deeper into this, but I absolutely agree with you. Let's kind of pick up the pace here, get to what the star of the show was for us. We had Tom Nakano versus Saki Kashima, 1-on-1, the two best friends going back after one another. A lot of shit talk leading into this one. I can't say that I'm happy with the outcome. If I put my biases aside, because everybody knows that I'm a fan of Saki Kashima. If I put my biases aside, JD, you tell me, in the world of wrestling logic, you know, and you're Mr. Wrestling Logic.
Sure, I try to be.
Is there not any more of a heat-seeking missile you could put on somebody's back, like Saki Kashima, after she flipped from Stars and then takes out what could be looked at as one of the top contenders for the Cinderella championship, in a sense, right? Or to win the tournament, Tam Nakano. If she took her out in the first round, people would hate her moving forward.
So
it feels like a missed opportunity.
You know, I got to. If Tam Nakano was to go out, and being that she is so loved as a babyface in Stardom, right, one of the biggest, you gotta. This is what was missing between Oedo Tai here, was the true heel performance, which we did not get.
No.
There was hints of a heel performance, right? So if you're gonna get heat and knock out Tam Nakano, which did not happen here in round 1, should have had all of Oedo Tai led by Saki and Natsu Sumire if you want, or just some sort of tandem. Where it's this 2-on-1 situation, or even 3-on-1. Go the full 9. Don't go halfway. Right? Yeah, right. That would have been totally fine. But instead, we had just kind of this 1-on-1 situation, and Tam wins. I'm like, cool, I guess. Doesn't really get me interested in seeing them go at it again after this. That's for sure.
I'd agree.
So that was if the plan wasn't for Tam to win. Then yeah, you should have just gone full heel.
I'm all about trying to create the separation in Oedo Tai to show who's the leader versus who's not. I just think coming out of a turn and a main event spot by Saki Kashima, again, my biases and allegiances aside, you're going to put her in a first round matchup against Tam Nakano, and it's not even going to be a cheekish kind of finish where like Tam does something while Saki goes for a running bulldog, right? And Tam just lifts her up because she's big enough to and throws her over the top rope, right? Something completely out of, like something like that I could have lived with. But to hit her with the Tiger Suplex, kind of, man, like it just kind of.
And even pull like a Kenta type move where you have that shock defeat where Saki gets thrown out and then she just beats her ass afterwards.
Right.
Do an old school heel thing and then that's how she goes out in round 2.
Chase her with Natsu's bullwhip.
Something.
Yep.
Something to give her damage, right?
Yeah, give her a little.
There was so much missing on the true heel aspect, and this is not anything new for the Joshi scene. That's why Jamie Hayter stands out so much, and Bea Priestley coming into her own. They are heels. There is no doubt they are heels. Are they fun-loving, cocky heels? Absolutely. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Where was Jamie Hayter kind of trying to get her heat or anything? Or in your case, yes, Saki, as much as I don't want to admit it, came off a main event against Mayu, the person she turned on. Well, who's number 2 and who's more pissed off? Who's just as pissed off? Tam Nakano. It was a huge misstep in booking in it. And on this side of the bracket, it was the story to tell.
Correct. I agree. And because I think they fleshed out about half of this side of the bracket really, really well. I think to your point though that they did miss an opportunity here, which is fine. Tam's moving on. We want Tam to move on. Everybody wants Tam to win. So ultimately, the people that were excited for Tam and what could be later, they were satisfied for this win. Kind of keep the momentum going for Tam, as in Saki, no big deal. This takes us to Natsuko Tora versus Saya Kamitani. Not much to say. I'm not going to say this was a look. I know your feelings. I'm going to let you go on Natsuko here in a second, but I will say that I'm starting to come around to Natsuko a little bit. She's got to fill the roles of Kagetsu, and that's just not a position that anybody really wants to be in. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a long trudge for her. I think she's doing an okay job at it right off the bat here. I think from where she was to where she is now, I think there's a good progression there. It's just, man, it's hard to invest in somebody when you had the prime minister there for for all those years, and then now she's got to work after a slow 5-star last year where her offense wasn't working for her, and essentially being a trainee Oedo Tai member to now being the leader of Oedo Tai. It's a tough position. So I'm willing to give her a little bit of slack. I think perfect booking by setting her up against Saya Kamitani in the first round. Natsuko gets the win with the frog splash off the top rope here. Finds stuff in the victory circle, moving on to the next round to face Tam. Any thoughts?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Natsuko Tora is the still exact same wrestler. She has no new moves. She has no new finisher.
Nope.
All she did was dye her hair blonde, put on some eye makeup, and wear an M. Bison cosplay.
A little bit, yeah.
She has no promo. She hasn't cut any. She doesn't use any heel tactics other than brawling outside. Like, that's not much of a heel tactic. That's just wrestling. It's just a brawl on the floor. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing's changed except her look. And I saw even a few people go, well, Saki hasn't changed either. She just wears black now. I'm like, it's not. No. Because she actually cuts a promo. She had a program. She had a direction with betraying a faction, a long time in, etc. There was so much more to it.
Right. Plus, there's a backstory from her first run. Then you throw the fact that she was essentially a comedy wrestler last year, and now she's trying to be a little bit more serious with her in-ring work. There's some parallel. You can pull some differentiations.
Right. You have a character there. In Natsuko Tora, we haven't seen or heard anything other than her new costume. Which, by the way, Saya Kamitani, still waiting on it.
Still waiting on it.
Give
me green, give me leopard print. Just give me green and give me leopard print. Keep the green. Keep the lime green. Just give me leopard print. Make yourself a formal member of Queen's Quest, please.
Yeah. Right now, she still looks like the wannabe idol dancer that does gymnastic moves.
She looks like she's in Stars, but it takes time. So again, willing to work with Kamitani
the new gear takes time. When you get the new gear, that's the like trigger for this girl's gonna do something here.
Exactly right, and I fully expect her to do something.
That's very very common in Joshi wrestling. But yeah, Natsuko Tora, she beats her fine.
Yep.
I would have probably switched Jungle Kiona and Saya Kamitani in their places on the bracket.
Okay, give Jungle the win over Kamitani. Give
no.
the first.
Julia beats Kamitani.
Makes sense. Okay.
Just beats the piss out of the rookie, no problem, no question. No one bats an eye. You're like, yeah, that should have happened, right?
Right.
And then you could have Jungle Tora round 1, build off their past. Jungle, if you're not going to have Jungle win, which obviously didn't happen, then who better to beat her than the one that always beats her, and that's Tora, right?
Yeah.
Natsuko. At least that would make sense in continuity. Or you finally put her over Tora, which could still build off their little thing. Either or would have worked. But instead, I thought that was where a lot of this tournament went awry. Was the Jungle round 1 loss in a stinker match, and then Tora basically being set up here for an easy win. Because she's the quote-unquote faction leader. But here's a question I'm going to throw your way. Does anyone believe she's the faction leader? That's where I falter. I already said that I don't feel Tora has done anything different, nor convinced me that A, she's a main event player, which faction leaders are supposed to be, right?
Right.
Or at least be contenders to be.
Mm-hmm.
She has no big wins, right?
She has no, not really.
So where are we going here? It's such a misstep. This really reminds me of an old Joshi wrestler that got the huge push in the late 80s, whom I'm watching right now on my retro watch, and she's the champion. Okay? Her name is Yukari Omori. And even in looks to me, really reminds me of Natsuko Tora. I don't get it. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with them, but you don't see main eventer when you look at him, right? You don't feel it, and you're not convinced of it. Now, booking-wise, and I'll say this for Tora, the booking to put them in strong positions makes all the sense in the world. But that's not the problem here. It's who they are and their character and the wrestler coming off the screen, out of the ring, to you, the viewer. Do you get behind them? Do you believe them to be of this caliber? And in my case of the late 80s Omori, I do not. Right? I'm not into their matches. I don't feel like they are going to wow me. Right? I'm just going to get their offense and then call it a day, and if she happens to win, then I guess she wins. Like, I don't feel anything for it. Do you feel anything when you watch Tora wrestle?
Not this iteration. If they would have made similar moves back before or during JAN, I could see it a little bit. I could see it a little bit more. I think she had a little bit more star power back then.
Well,
really
she was in Jungle Assault Nation, Jungle Kiona, Natsuko Tora. Tora is, I believe, Tiger or Lion.
Right.
One of the two.
Two.
Part of the jungle, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that needs to happen for me to buy into even an iota of Natsuko Tora, change the name. You already changed her look dramatically, right? That's why That's another reason why I'm calling her Yoshiko Bison, because she looks like Yoshio.
Natsuko. I'm good with that. Just get
rid
of Tora.
Even Natsuko, just the single name, just drop the Tora, right? Get her, break that old bond, and even put a new last name on there, one that could make her sound like a leader. Because I'm not buying leader Natsuko. All.
There's a lot they could have done. I mean, the fact that they had her in training all last year, and then again, I cannot stress this enough: the lack of offensive power in the 5-star last year. She
didn't win a single match, did she?
She won the last night against Miyagi, I believe. But remember, she was hitting her finishers.
Who we haven't seen in quite some time.
Yeah, which we haven't seen, since her blow off with Kagetsu.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story there. But yeah, Natsuko, when you're training for a year, and then you pretty much take over the reins of the faction in which you were the trainee of, yet there was no promo fanfare. I mean, there was, but there wasn't, if you know what I mean. Like, there was no impactful. Like, I remember Saki's turn more than I do.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Natsu's first championship, Artist of Stardom Championship, more. That was more impactful to me than anything Natsuko's done in Oedo Tai. Jamie, and B flipping, right, and coming over. Like, there's all these moves. If we found out that Natsuko was the one that got B to come over, right, and got Saki to come over, and there would have been a little bit more of a mastermind kind of feel behind it. Well, yeah, she's not the strongest, but she's the smartest, right?
No, if anything, the mastermind is Natsu Sumire.
Yes.
She was the one cutting the promos. Hey, we need to rebuild Oedo Tai. Hey, Saki, come join me. Embrace your degenerate self. Yeah, and yet she's in the undercard beating up the rookie Sayas.
Right.
And then we have Tora here. Let's move on, because there's a lot
Yeah,
more
we could keep going. Let's get into some good stuff, because for me, my matches of the night, this fell number 1 for me. I really enjoyed this back and forth. We had Utami Hayashishita versus Meika first round. Just unadulterated power and submission-based wrestling between these two, back and forth, and where I can't really get into submission holds that go on too long that then turn into a rope break. This happened 4 times in this match, and I was enthralled all 4 times. Ultimately, we got ourselves a draw. Both find themselves eliminated. This is to be continued, in my opinion, and I'm, for one, JD, I'm looking forward to it. Utami versus Meika, moving forward. Sign me the fuck up.
This was also my number 1 match of the tournament here in round 1, and for a draw of all things.
Yeah.
So that should tell you how enthralling it is. Even better than their Just Tap Out match that they had a couple months ago. Real good, hard-hitting mat-based match. The transitions between submissions and suplex holds that specifically Utami was going for. Meika goes for the more simplistic judo moves.
Yes.
But yeah, everything was slick transitions. They really built off their previous encounter and their I believe I believe they've met in various
They've been
tag
tagged.
matches.
Yeah, tag settings. Yep.
So they just keep building off each other more and more. Ending this in a draw in the first round, I think, is fantastic booking. Because yes, it only makes me want to see more. Mm-hmm. And it takes specifically Utami all belts, or all mid card belts, anyways. Utami all mid belts. A strong person with a make rival now out of the first round in something that makes total sense, and you only want to see more. This was great.
Yeah, I thought this was strong, and again, coming out of the first round here, before we get to the last match, we've had Donna Del Mondo take out a TCS member, take out a Oedo Tai member, and draw and essentially take out a Queen's Quest member. So a little foreshadowing there as we kind of move forward through this. Mm-hmm. We got ourselves the final first round matchup. Again, marquee matchup if there ever was one. Mayu Iwatani versus Hana Kimura, 1-on-1 to close out round 1 on YouTube of the free live stream. Hana Kimura, beautiful chaos in the ring, just an absolute monster. Mayu Iwatani, our made of rubber champion. These two battle back and forth. Gritty, it's tough, it's hard. As much as Mayu wanted to get her offense in, this was kind of the Hana show in my opinion. They both find themselves on the top rope, and they both find themselves eating shit outside, eliminating each other.
Dude.
On a double elimination side.
This was nuts. So
crazy.
Maya's going for Mayu.
Right.
Slip of the tongue. Mayu's going for the moonsault. Hana pops back up, meets her at the top, tries to lock in the hydrangea submission, the octopus stretch, if you will. Mm-hmm. Lose their balance. Crazy fucking fall to the floor. Wow. I popped. I went, fuck! That's definitely how you get two top players out. They
Seriously.
take each other out off a battle, and you could tell the way the match was that they weren't even like a third of the way through what they would do in a match against each other at this point in the game. So it felt like it was just a freak accident, which is perfect. It keeps you on your toes. It gives you that idea in your head that anything could happen at any moment. If this was like many other promotions out there, they would have both fallen on the apron, all safe, and then the match would have continued, right? But no.
Right.
First round exit, good stuff. And you know what this means. Because then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Well, no. I was like, fucking Natsuko Tora.
Oh, sure.
Got like 2 goddamn buys.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so breaking down the first round, just a quick recap. And when I say quick, I mean quick. We had Momo, Julia, Konami, Sori, Tam, and Natsuko find their way either through pinfall submission or elimination to the next round. Then Utami versus Micah ends in a time limit draw, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well then who's going to get the bye? It would make sense you could make the case for either Mayu or Hana to get the bye, and kind of saving, for whatever story is going to come out of Tam Natsuko. And instead, we find ourselves with a double elimination off the top rope, and now whoever wins Tam versus Natsuko gets essentially, a bye all the way to the semifinal or all the way to the finals.
Yeah, the winner just goes to the finals. Bam, right. Just like that.
Which is what makes the Cinderella Tournament A, so fun and so different, but 2, more importantly, man, if you're a Tam Nakano fan going into this, coming out of the first round, you're feeling pretty fucking good about where you're sitting as we start the round 2 here.
Yep.
Which, let's do ourselves. So, Momo Watanabe versus Julia is our round 1 matchup. For me, I will tell you that this was my second favorite match of the night. And the reason why, JD, is because, in my opinion, this was the first time that I've seen Momo Watanabe the way I like to envision Momo Watanabe. I like to look at her as being a badass leader of Queen's Quest, right? And if you're Queen's Quest, you're a winner, right? That's just the name of the game. You are somebody... if you're part of that faction, you don't necessarily need to be the leader to win championships, but if you are the leader, you're in contention for every championship and to hold every championship within Stardom. And this is the first time that Momo felt that way to me since before the 5-Star Grand Prix last year. I thought her kicks, I thought her strikes were perfect. I thought they were great on Julia. I think Julia sold them really, really well. Momo did not find her way to getting the W this time around. Julia gave her the glorious driver on the apron. I didn't love the finish, or I should say, I love the finish. I didn't love the setup. I don't like the battling on the apron where they're both just kind of wavering like a fainted opponent from Mortal Kombat as they put these strikes exactly. But I thought it was a good lasting impression. The glorious driver onto the shoulders, onto the corner of the apron, which ultimately dropped Momo to the outside. More importantly, the first 4 or 5 minutes of this match where Momo got her offense in, I thought was the best looking Momo that I've seen in a decent amount of time here. Really happy, excited to see where she is moving forward. However, right now we got the Julia story continuing since her signing in controversial fashion. They're really playing that up. Julia moves on here. Donna Del Mondo cannot be stopped. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Momo heavily matched up with Julia's past Ice Ribbon style. With a lot of the kicks and suplexes. That's something Julia is very familiar with, and definitely saw this was probably Julia's best outing of the tournament.
Yes.
I believe in this match here, it was ranked number 5 for me.
Nice.
So we've already we've gotten 4 out of my top 5 matches here already laid out. So yeah, Julia looked like $1 million as she's supposed to. Having Momo as the opponent was a great matchup through both their offenses. And yeah, that burning driver, the glorious driver on the apron on the outside, what an elimination. What a stamp mark on the Momo just can't seem to get anything working right now. I would have liked to see a little bit more fire from Momo after the match. Like maybe pushing somebody, maybe attack a random person of, I don't know, Oedo Tai or whomever. Or even Donna Del Mondo, just
beat
anybody,
Hannah,
just
or
all
just
pissed
beat up
off.
Rena.
Oh my god.
Why not?
Beat up a young lioness. Turn straight up Minoru Suzuki on everybody.
Right.
Just kick the shit out of someone in frustration. I would like to see some heavier frustration from Momo going forward. That's all that was missing here. But yeah, definitely want to see these two have a much longer match with something big on the line.
Yes, I agree. And if you're going to take out a faction leader, that's how you take a faction leader out. You take them out with impact, and that's what we got this time around, which, again, tells me a story and hopefully begins the climb for Momo, because I've been asking for it for a while now. Next quarterfinal that we had Konami, last year finalist, versus rookie in Stardom in Shuri. I was really excited about this one because I expected a lot of transitional offense. I expected a lot of mat wrestling, chain wrestling. I think these styles, for Konami, this is one of the best matchups for her. I think we got that this time around, although definitely something to build upon moving forward. However, I really like these two in the ring together. Didn't love the fact that we got a rope break on the Triangle Lancer. However, that's not what makes it 100%. What makes it 100% is somebody who can get out of it, and she certainly didn't get out of it. She just found a way to get to the rope.
Well, she was pretty much already. No, she wasn't already there.
She was more middle of that ring. I mean,
but
she wasn't middle of the ring.
If you looked, it looked to me that Konami didn't have it completely sunk in, and that's why she was able to maneuver her way to the ropes. But yeah, Shuri defeats Konami.
Yes.
And that was after they proceeded to kick the shit out of each other.
Yes.
Move through the transitions, because what you got is the Asuka trainee, the Kana student, against the MMA fighter, which totally makes sense, right? And how they were able to transition out of technical moves and then go into trying to kick each other. It was great. I loved the fact that Shuri won off a different move, the pullback Haskins sharpshooter.
Yep. You call that Scorpion
that.
Deathlock.
I guess when you pull on the pull on the foot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Shuri looked great. If Konami was to go out in not or before the finals, this was quite the opponent to do that too. I liked it.
Yes, I liked it too. I wish Shuri would have lifted a little higher on the Scorpion Deathlock. I think she kind of lost her footing a little bit and she ended a little lower, which kind of created more of like a Boston Crab aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay, though.
But yeah, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. I just think that would have had a little bit more impact. But outside of that, I thought this was a banger. Back and forth between the two. Really, really enjoyed it. And it shows me that Konami's... I came on the show a few weeks ago and I talked about how I thought Konami was just going to be... She was going to lose some momentum. Well, I mean, yeah, she only made it to the second round. However, a tease with Izumi and then a good showing against Shori. There's a lot left for Konami moving forward, so I'm excited to see where they go with her. And you can't make the finals every year. You just can't. Like, it's just, she had 2 final victories, or she made it to 2 finals last year. She won a block last year in the 5-star. You know, just not her year. Just not her Cinderella tournament. So that's okay. Shori, so now we got a Della Del Mondo.
New gear for Konami, by the way.
Was that?
Her too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Huh? We now have a Donna Del Mondo semifinal, Julia versus Shori, which is going to be interesting, which we'll save for a second. Tam versus Natsuko. Now,
this fucking match.
Going into this match, you know there's a bye on the line to the finals. Was there any doubt in your mind that Tam wasn't going to win? Because there was not one. I thought, you know, everybody who watches Stardom knows. You know, we're lining up Julia, maybe Shori, because we don't really know much about her, so there's a wild card element there. But then you're looking at Tam and Natsuko, and essentially the semifinal. And I'm sitting there going, they're going to line this up for Tam versus either Julia or Shori. There's no way Natsuko's going to pull out this W. There's just no way.
Dude, I was like, man, 2 things were going through my head. I go, Tam's surely going to win.
Yep.
In dominant fashion, and then that knocks out another Oedo Tai member. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're done with the Stars Oedo Tai line. That was kind of short-lived.
Right.
Or they heal it up real hard to screw Stars yet again to further set up the storyline. So I'm like, I could see either way, right? But I go, the smart decision would be, now that you've gotten to this point, Tam's got to win. Tam Nakano has got to win. They did not screw her 6 ways from Sunday. Tam does lose, just looking like a fool.
Right.
Looking like a fool.
Classic Tam.
Well, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's half of her. Either she's in like a big, you know, white belt match where she's throwing kicks and she looks unstoppable, or she's affable and she's part of this, you know, she's a little bit more fun, a little bit more relaxed. You know, she's aloof. Is a good way of thinking about it.
We didn't get the aloof Tam, though.
No, we got the aloof finish, though.
Right, which wasn't in character. It just...
Sure.
It really... This was the turning point match where I just went, this sucks. That entire... Like, I was fine with the draw. I was fine with the double out. Tam Saki, I think, should have went the other way. This is why I think the Jungle Saya switch should have been.
Right.
Because then that would have led to a lot of things. That would have been much easier and much more sensible, right? Instead of just trying to get Natsuko Tora over as a faction leader. Which, again... didn't work here either, because instead you just made Tom look stupid. German suplex off. Oh, but she went through the second rope, turns to the side, goes around, and then just gets her off, knocks her off.
Right.
Boop, over.
And then when the way Tam kind of set it up too, where she, you know, like she kind of put herself in position. You know,
she put herself in the position,
she's
looking
right
around. Where
Tam.
did she go?
I know. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, well, why am I locked up in the ropes? And then boom, hits him with a...
And they even teased the screw 6 ways from Sunday, because they were at the corner. They were on the corner top at a point.
Right.
Tam's on top, and Saki interferes, and it led to nothing. And then there was no interference after that.
Mm-hmm. What was funny was that at the first time Saki got involved,
there were boos.
Well, there were boos, but but when that was happening, Tam was in control.
Yeah.
So why are you like? And then there was no like cheap shot. You know what I mean? It wasn't. It wasn't like
kinda...
you pulled out a weapon or pulled out an Oedo Tai sign and hit her with the Oedo Tai sign or something to create the heat. It was like she missed her cue. She went too early, right? It's like classic Saki, right?
Yeah.
Missed the cue, went a little too early, and then gets up there and kicks Tam. And it's just like, at that point, you kind of knew it was coming. And then I'm okay with the cheekish finish. I actually enjoyed the psych throw out by Tam. I thought that was done really well on the apron. And then, boom, like rolls out, bam, back on the other side, hits at the clothesline, and Tam's eliminated. A lot deflating, you know. I mean, if I was...
Oh, yeah. And you realizing now from there, we have Natsuko Tora in the finals of the Cinderella Tournament where the winner picks the main event title match that they want.
Right.
I went, that's not happening. Right? She's still owed a white belt match.
Correct.
Right? So I'm like, why? Why would you do that? So here's the revisionist booking here.
Let me hear it.
Okay. Either you screw Tam Nakano and Saki goes on 6 ways from Sunday. You continue that line, right?
Love it.
You can still have the draw, and you can still have the Mayu Hana double out. Okay. And then you have Jungle Natsuko. Okay. If you have Tam somehow defy the odds and she wins, then yes, in the next round you can have Tora beat Jungle, which is in full line with stories of their past, and it keeps going on, because Jungle has lost to Tora plenty of times in the past. That's fine.
Yeah,
right?
that's believable. Right.
Right? So, right then and there, you can stick with this booking, but god damn it, you do not have Natsuko Tora win against Tam Nakano. You don't do that.
It's so tough, because even if, like, again, if it was gang warfare, if it was chaos on the outside, and Natsu runs in with a giant cone on her head and causes a distraction that ultimately knocks Tam out, I can get behind it. I can live with it.
Something. You got...
You know?
But then that still leaves you with Natsuko Tora in the finals, in which she's still owed a white belt match.
Yeah, that one's
Not
tough.
happening.
You would have to... Yeah.
That's
no, it's
very
tough. You're
hard
right.
for
It's
me to
hard.
get behind. And I've already said my feelings on she's a weak wrestler and weak character, right?
Right.
There's nothing strong there. So you can't book her in the finals. You can't do it, right? There's just not enough behind her. There's no momentum. And I really think in their eyes right now, getting the big rub from Kagetsu, kind of a passing of the torch, Hazuki retiring and she's in the last match and she beat her, and that's all well and good, but they're retired and it's just kind of like a feeling, right? You're like, okay, she was the last one, whatever. But who did Kagetsu really give the big rub to? It was Momo and Kiona.
Correct.
It was those two. So the real story here should have been Jungle beats Tora, okay?
Right.
And Saki, you're going to love this, JPQ, and Saki goes over Tam, screwing her 6 ways from Sunday.
Woo!
Okay?
Love it.
Okay?
And then Jungle over Saki. Jungle fast forwards to the final, in which then you have Julia versus Jungle with something on the line.
Something big on the line, and Jungle can cut a pre-match promo or post-match promo. He's just like, hey, my match in Nagoya isn't going to happen.
How about this? Jungle takes out Kagetsu, right, as part of JK Green, and then she's the only one with a victory over anybody in Donna Del Mondo. And now in the finals, now you have the leader in Julia. And is this the time that Jungle can finally get over that hump? You know what I mean? Like,
something.
There's a story there.
There's a big story there. And I could even play the other way around, okay? And I said this on Twitter. I would have rather had a Saki finals than Natsuko Tora any day of the week.
Julia versus Saki.
So I was saying I would have preferred that, because Jungle in herself is still owed a match as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But all she did was challenge. She didn't earn it per se, right? That's where I'm given the edge in the booking to Jungle, and people can get behind her. And if she loses in the finals, it's like, oh man, almost again. That would be the big Naito type story, right?
Right.
She almost got there, and then you can build that up to the 5-star or even the Cinderella next year, whatever you want to do. You can build it any way you want. And if you want to do Saki as super heel and have Natsu and Tora wanting revenge for losing to her long-term former faction friend, you could do that. So you could even have a Saki final who's just coming off a main event, right, in a non-title match.
Right.
So you could build the story there where she wants to now get the title match. Despite losing. Now she's earning a title match. That is so much more convincing and deeper stories than just, I got the rub from 2 people retiring and I dyed my hair blonde.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think these are all valid points, and I think I agree with most of them. I think there's a lot of ways you could have cut up this pie. In this instance, Natsuko, where, okay, like, I'm okay with it, which we'll talk about that dynamic once we get to the finals.
Yeah.
Was probably, in my opinion, and as well as yours, was the lesser of the opinion. It was the lesser of the booking options that you had available to you. So I would tend to agree with everything that you're saying. Let's move on to the semifinals. Though, well, I should say the semifinal, because we already know that Natsuko is going to work her way after eliminating Tam into the final. We have Julia versus Shuri, Donna Del Mondo versus Donna Del Mondo. Somebody's got to get a loss in this tournament. The only loss that Donna Del Mondo has taken up to this point was an elimination on a draw, so they're undefeated through the tournament so far. Julia versus Shuri, 1-on-1. I got to be honest with you, before we break this match down, I got to tell you how impressed with Julia I have been. I know that they're going to push her to the moon, and I know people have an issue with that because she's not putting in her due and she's still kind of green. But this was a nice coming out party for her, in my opinion, to go through Jungle, then to go through Momo, although the Jungle match wasn't the greatest. But then to show up against Shuri, who's having a nice little tournament herself. These two back and forth, I found this to be a tremendous match. I was really engaged in this. I was more invested in Donna Del Mondo than I ever have before, because you're starting to learn these characters a little bit more. Still not going to say their faces, certainly not going to say that they're heels, but they're somewhere in the middle. Kind of these, like, you know, like they they're intimidating as hell, right? I can't tell if they're good or they're bad, but they're intimidating.
They're the badass outsiders.
Yeah, they really are. They're playing TCS better than TCS right now. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Julia gets the win with over the top rope elimination on Shuri, so we don't even get a pinfall.
No. She Yakuza kicked her off the apron.
Yeah, elimination over the top rope. Oh wait, I guess it wasn't. Well, she was over the top. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, they were trading kicks. She
came across.
It was pretty cool. They were trading kicks on the apron. Shuri gives her the roundhouse kick one time and then screams at her.
Yeah.
And wants the Yakuza kick, and Julia just punts her off. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
That was good. It was a defining moment for sure. You're right. That's exactly how it went down.
What a performance from Shuri in this tournament. Holy
really
shit.
Nice. Hater, Konami, Julia, back to back. Strong performance. And I didn't even realize that her outfit mimics Julia's almost to a T. You know, just instead of white, it's red. But same lines on the legs, same cutouts. You know, pretty much the same uniform. Just one's red, one's white. So interesting little dynamic that I noticed where they were wrestling back and forth. Which #wrestling fashion is kind of my thing.
Yeah. So before we get to the final, here's the thoughts on Julia, because this makes all the sense in the world. And on the other side, this also makes all the sense in the world. You're booking Julia as strong as possible. She's the new girl on the block, right? And we have this precedent in Stardom where the Cinderella Tournament is the big thing to get the youngster over, get the newbie over, however you want to put it. Because you had Yoko Bito, I believe it was Niagara, like went through it.
He actually did a great job, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, look, Momo was like 18 when she won it.
Right. Mayu
won it twice when she was in Io and Kairi's shadow. She won it back-to-back years. So that makes sense. Arisa won it after a 6-year hiatus, only 6 months back. And then he threw in Utami, got to the finals in the 5-star a month into her debut. So it's like, this is not new for Stardom. If it was like New Japan, you'd be like, well, wait a minute. What's this new fucker beating Okada for, right? Kind of deal.
Sure.
But Julia here, coming from Ice Ribbon, and I've kind of mentioned that they're really sticking to what she's good at, and that's trading the heavy, stiff shots.
Right.
Right? And then getting her... She's a striker, and she's getting her suplexes in, and she'll take the strikes and take the suplexes. So the thinking here was, all right, who's the best worker in Stardom? Jungle Kiona. Like, okay, cool. That works, right?
Right.
And they gotta go out there in round 1, so Kiona's gotta keep Julia grounded, and she just gets a shock loss kind of deal. That's the mentality there. And then the next one, Momo. What does Momo do? She kicks the shit out of people. Great. Julia can take it, and she can dish it back. Yep. Who's next? Fucking Shuri. Same thing. The former MMA person. Of course she's going to do that. And then, who's in the finals now? Natsuko Tora. As basic can be. Nothing fancy about her. You're not going to have a great match. Well, actually, you're never going to have a great match. And you're not going to have a bad match. Generally. Because she can only do, like, 5 things. And so there you go. Like, all the sense in the world, Julia would not have a bad match. Like, when you break it out. And then Tora, on the other end, only wrestles twice off of easy wins, right? So you have the fresh faction leader on the other side. So you're really... The idea here was to put over Julia as strong as possible and look as good as possible.
Right.
Makes all the sense in the world.
I agree. And this is becoming a striker type of win, right?
Right.
I want to say it was Yoko back in 17. I think it was 17. I think 17 is the year she came back before she retired. I'm kind of blanking that far back. But we had Momo win it
16.
in 18, right? Striker, suplexes, things of that nature.
Yep.
Then we have Arisa last year. Again, kicks and strikes. Right? That's what she's known for. And if she didn't win it, it would have been Konami, who you can make the case, outside of submission work, is a striker.
Right.
Now you have Julia doing the same thing, and it seems like that seems to be the formula for who's winning are these more striker-esque. I will tell you this. I'm a little disappointed. I mean, we got some heavies in the, and I mean that with all due respect in Stardom, right? Whether it be Jungle or Jamie Hayter or Utami, Micah, Natsuko on some level, you know. I mean, you could throw Tam in there because she can kind of hold her own. Like, you've got some heavies. Yet it seems as if Stardom they only push the idols, like and again, we know why, right? More marketable.
Yeah.
Bushi Road side. I'm not saying that they're doing this on purpose. I'm just saying, like,
if they wanted to push the idols, you push the actual idol Tam Nakano, who's I believe in like a legal battle right now with her shit manager.
Yeah,
former shit manager.
That's 100%. Yeah, that's 100% accurate. And she's in a Joshi fan war between Maki Ito and somebody else. Who was it? Matsumoto, I think, was the other one.
I need to see this.
Yeah, these 3 people are pretty much saying which one's the most idolist of the idols. You know, so it's slow time in the quarantine. People getting a little nutty out there. Anyway,
man,
Julia versus Natsuko. 1-on-1 for the Cinderella Championship, the winner of the Cinderella Tournament 2020. And to your point, yeah, Julia shows out again. Yeah, this one wasn't even up for debate. And again, I think to your point, a lot of it had to do with the fact that Natsuko legitimately just should have had and it makes me wonder if this was patchwork booking coming out of what would have been her white belt a challenge versus Arisa at No People Gate. That didn't happen, so now was it just okay, we're gonna give her the finals?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It could be which it doesn't make much sense, you know. Like, I mean, you can build it, but now you got Julia, who ultimately wins, right, and wins in pretty deciding fashion. Like, yeah, there was a good back and forth. Natsuko got some of her offense, and I thought overall it was a pretty well done match, but at no point did I ever doubt that Julia was going to pick up the victory at this point. I didn't know if...
And that's the problem.
That is the problem, for sure. I mean, think about Konami versus Arisa last year.
What did we see... What did we see that convinced us otherwise? It looked like any other Natsuko Tora match I've ever seen.
But it was Mayu in 2017 who won it. Now I'm thinking about it, it was Mayu. So that's besides the point. In case somebody fact checks me later. There was none. You know, there was no viable option. Once Utami, Maika, Mayu, and Hana took themselves out, the only other option that made sense coming out of that back half of the bracket was Tam Nakano, right? We didn't get it. We got Natsuko instead. You know, we kind of knew who was going to win. With that said, I'm glad that Julia got it.
Yes, that is the smart decision. She's the big star going forward. That's clearly who they want on top, and she's more than capable. And she's improving as time has gone on. I don't think that can be disputed. She's got the charisma to be a star. She looks like a star. She comes across the screen like a star. You heard the crowd really wanting her to win the match. That's a good sign right there.
Yep.
That's undeniable. Yeah, like I said, the show itself, besides the booking of Natsuko Tora, I thought was one of the stronger Cinderella tournaments.
I would agree. I think start to finish, I really enjoyed this. I love some of the heavy hitters going out early, which is typical, but not to this level. Natsuko, again, finding her way to the finals against Julia. I know that Julia is getting pushed to the moon. I know
Which
that
is
Julia...
even more, now that I think about it, this is even more baffling because on the shows leading up to this, before the CV happened, right?
Yeah.
Julia had tussles and arguments with Tam Nakano.
Right.
So,
I got a theory.
Like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, why isn't this the finals?
I got a theory on it. I mean,
Okay.
we know that Stardom doesn't have a tremendous amount of stock put into face versus heel. And I think if Julia goes over Tam, she's looked at as more of a heel moving forward. Then, like, even if you try to build it and you put together a 10-minute match that can show more of a respect type of thing, she plays in the gray, right? She's kind of in the middle. She's a badass. But you put her in there against Tam, now the face loses, and now you got a heel on your hands, and now Donna Demando is represented as kind of almost being like a heel faction. Well, that's not necessarily the story they want to tell. Julia has surpassed, face heel, right? She's up in that echelon right now with Arisa, or Arisa can do some dirty shit in the ring, and fans are going to forgive her for it. Mayu's always going to be the preeminent face. I mean, she's the face of the company for G's. But like Momo can get that angry streak to her, and then she can kind of snap. And when she does, she's ruthless, but people respect the hell out of her for it. We see the same thing with Hana, right? And she's kind of mirroring Hana, and I think they're going to mirror each other through the year, and the payoff's going to come at year end again, where they match back up. Maybe one has the title, maybe one doesn't. We'll see how it plays out. But they're trying to keep her from being booed. I think if you put her in there against Tam in the finals, she gets booed if she wins.
Yeah, no, I get your reasoning. That I can't really dispute that. That being said, the Jungle Kiona final, I think
that would have been great.
With the very short rushed clunker that we had in the first round, that final matchup, Kiona and Julia going out 12-15 minutes,
right?
Minimum. That would have been much more impactful a win for Julia, I feel.
Yep.
I think that would have made her look 1,000 times better, including kicking the rookie's ass in the first round. Just puts her over as, I am not on their level, I'm way above it kind of situation. There was the moment in the finals where Tora gets the hold of the chain. And here I am thinking, well, if you want me to boo her, like, I'm already doing it because I don't want to see her wrestle in general, right?
Yeah.
If you want me to really dislike her, then use the weapons, right? Get the chain. But instead, gets taken away. Julia's about to, no, I'm not going to hit you. And then, here, tosses it to the heel. And then the heel goes, I'll throw it to the side too. What? And you could see the crowd going, uh-oh. Because they thought they were going to finally see some character. Right? But instead, the character we got was, well, I'm not actually a heel. I just take advantage every now and again, or I don't mind it. So
it would have worked for Kagetsu. It doesn't work for Natsuko. Natsuko needs to hit her with the chain.
Right. They're trying to make her Kagetsu, because Kagetsu would do the mist, do the Keiji Muto stuff. Great Muda. Needed the chain, need the weapons. Like, why? Why are you holding back? Like that would to me that would immediately separate Natsuko Tora from the rest of the roster because she's using the badass weaponry, right? She's channeling the Dump Matsumoto of the past situation there. It's like she's already halfway looking the part with the crazy makeup and the almost crazy makeup, and maybe if she paints her face up the same way or make her like if she hits Julia with the chain and then goes to the near fall, that's when you'd believe it, right?
Yep.
Like, fuck, she just got smashed with a chain. Yeah, Julia could lose, and then I'm like, oh, you bitch, right? Instead, she throws it off to the side. What? And Julia's 2 feet taller than her. I'm like, yeah, okay, what?
Right. Why bring the chain out if you're not going to use it? I mean,
right.
You have the opportunity, pop her, let the ref get involved. She throws the ref out of the way. She goes for the 2 count. Ref has no choice but to count it. 2.9, boom, match continues. Done.
You know, it was a very disappointing finals.
It's not one that you're going to remember. You're going to remember some of the matches. You're going to remember overall it was a very good Cinderella tournament, but you're not going to remember the final so much.
Right.
Nothing
I will remember Julia in the blue dress going, yeah. I had to get this dress. Can't let Natsuko Tora wear it. I believe that's what she said.
That's true.
My Japanese is not great by any means. I won't pretend, but I could read between the lines.
Yeah. Well, we have Julia now, who says that she wants a challenge for the white belt against Risa Hoshiki moving forward. So we'll see that at a later date.
She's taking that thing.
But I hope. Here's what I hope with regards to that. I hope that those two are both at 100% by the time that they meet. I really don't.
Yeah, we never mentioned Julia's shoulders and neck were heavily taped up.
Julia's heavily taped up, and Arisa's dealing with something. You know, I don't know if it's, I don't know if she has coronavirus. I don't know if she has something. I forget.
That's what it seemed like her symptoms were.
Somebody said that it was a physical thing. Like I don't want to say it was her leg or it was her neck or something.
It was her head and eyes.
Head and eyes, right? Like that's something like that. Yeah. That's what it was.
That screams to me either she was heavily dehydrated,
right?
Which is a big sign of the coronavirus.
Could be.
Or, God, I hope this isn't true, post-CTE type stuff.
And it's possible. I mean, she was a shoot fighter for a couple years, so you never do know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's just wear and tear, and they just gave her some time off to heal. Julia obviously got some. She's been working hard. The schedule for Stardom, although later this year because of everything that's going on, isn't an easy schedule. I mean, they do 120 plus shows a year, and you're expected to wrestle on most of them. So, something to look forward to. I like the idea of the story. I think if they're both 100%, I'm 50-50 because I still think Arisa is being skyrocketed to greatness. At the same time, you still have Julia as your Cinderella champion. You have Hana, who is your 5-star Grand Prix champion. A few months ago, you have the Queen and the Princess, and those two are going to be on a collision course at some point again. I'm excited for that. Hopefully, it's the 5-star finals. We'll see what happens there. All told, JD, I mean, we broke it down. I mean, we're going on as long as maybe this tournament went on. Solid tournament. I appreciate you coming on, man. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, RedLeaf Retrocast. Hit me up on Twitter at BowlingJD. Podcast is found on all your favorite outlets, and also on the YouTube channel. So
that's right.
Play some games as well.
There you go. That's right. Playing the games. For me at NPA. I screwed that up for once. At Big Paws on a Pup on Twitter, as well as at NPA Podcast. Saki Kashima retrospective is coming. It's just, Cinderella Tournament takes precedence, obviously. Appreciate you guys stopping by. For now, though, me and JD got some scotch to talk about. We will be back.
Scotch to talk about.
next week here on No Particular Angle.